Tupac changed the whole scene of everything. This is why Pdiddy was mad at him and tried to set him up. He sent that hit out. Keefy D and them took the orders, and they carried everything out, man. They've been watching Tupac for a long time before that day, and this is what led them to actually pull up and do this. They was planning for this day. They used $1 million to get the whole rental car, the tickets, and everything like that, allegedly, because this is exactly what Keefy D was saying in his book. When they interpreted this, the feds came after him because it was due to the fact that everything, the leaked information that they found was something that came back to incriminate him, man. If you rocking with Tupac, put the 222s in the comment section, because they about to get this whole thing closed. The case is about to be solved right now, and they're gonna solve the Biggie case too. Put the RIP to Biggie, because at the end of the day, they know for a fact that Tupac got set up by P. Diddy. This is why they came after him, and they found the information about how he gave the money up and all that. They talked to Suge Knight. Suge Knight was driving around with Tupac. He already was into it with a lot of people that was on Keefy D's side. And this is what made it actually push it to the forefront and make it to where they all on the same night bump into each other right after Tupac and Orlando have their whole thing. That was the event that actually set it off. That was the catalyst, because they didn't think that anybody from Suge Knight's group was going to actually try to do anything to somebody from Keefy D's group. And so what happened is the fact that they actually made it to where they let them do the thing with the jumping Orlando, and then they went ahead and used that as an excuse to do the $1 million hit on Pac. Man, this whole entire thing is a sad situation, because Tupac never deserved something like this. He was changing the generation. He was waking up the youth and everything like that. And they took him out, man. And P. Diddy's name was written all over it, because at the end of the day, when they talked to all the witnesses, the forensics and the medical examiner's team put the report together with the DA's office, they came to a conclusion that this whole thing leads back to the fingers pointing at P. Diddy. This is why the witnesses were scared to talk, because at that time there was the Biggie case happened right after, so they thought P. Diddy was serious and that he was willing to take out a lot of people. So what they did was they kept quiet for a long time, and then all of a sudden all the people that was attached to Keefy D started going down one by one until he was the only guy left. Then that's when they actually came out, and then they got with Greg Hayden, the whole investigation team. Somebody gave the anonymous tip to try to solve the Tupac case and get justice for him. And his mother was pleading for it. His brother was looking to see if anybody was going to actually try to figure out who took out Tupac, how they planned it, and who actually put up the money to make it all happen. And so what happened next is that the person gave the anonymous tip. LAPD took the tip. They listened to it over the voicemail over and over again. They brought the old guy in, Greg Hayden, that been on the Tupac case since day one. He actually was on the Biggie case, and it led him to the Tupac case once he found out that Keefy D was at the Biggie party that Biggie left and got hit up at right on the street next to it. And so what that led him is to find the information that Keefy D was tied to both things. So he started looking into Keefy D, and he made it to where he said that the things that they said in the anonymous tip pretty much led him to Keefy D. And when he started looking at Keefy D and paying attention to Keefy D, that's when he started writing the book, going on the TV shows, doing the interviews, and basically the word on the street was that he was telling that to people around him in his own hood, basically, and people like at the places he went to hang out. And so everybody pretty much knew at that point. That's how everyone knew that Orlando was the one that hit up Tupac, because that story, that whole scenario came from Keefy D. He's the one that actually was saying that the whole time, and he put that in the book. Ever since the first time he was invited on that TV set to say something, that's what he was saying, and he was trying to stick with that. But when he actually kept doing it, and he did it in other jurisdictions and everything like that, and he ended up moving back to the place Tupac got hit up, they actually opened it all up again. And they were willing to go after him after all these years, because when the feds work on the RICOs and everything, they wait until they have a 99% chance that they're going to be successful at it. They get all the evidence. They let him make all the moves just to build the case up on him more and more and more, because they knew that he thought he got away. They knew that he thought he had the immunity and all that. So that proffer agreement that came out was a way to trick him into thinking that he got off on a clean slate because he gave up the information and everything like that. They made it seem like he was a hero for giving up the Tupac information, and he didn't think he did anything wrong, because the guy that he told on, that he said and confessed that hit up Tupac, actually already got sent up. And so he's not here anymore to say that whether it was him or it was the dude with the big hands, because the people and the witnesses are saying that the guy that actually stuck his arm out the window was actually a dude that looked completely different than Orlando. And so this is what put a spin on everything. Was Keefy D actually saying exactly what happened? Was there another person that took out Tupac? And is Keefy D just did that story to basically try to cover all the ends that he needed to? Or was he more involved in this? This is what they're trying to figure out. This is what the whole entire investigation is trying to unfold the answers to these questions, because at the end of the day, Tupac was a good person. He was trying to do what his best was, but it was some mistakes. He shouldn't have jumped Orlando. That led things to transpire into the events that did. But again, Sugeknight shouldn't have had the window down. He should have had the bulletproof plates on the window behind it, and where the tint over it, and people look like it's a window, but it don't roll down because it's a iron plate right behind it, a steel plate, so that way they can't even bust through the windows and everything is sealed off. That's what they should have had and everything, but at the end of the day, they was moving sloppy. The whole security team let those two girls in the drop top be able to actually pull up on Tupac. Then they actually let Orlando and Keefy D be able to weave in and out of traffic and swerve around the whole entire entourage, the people who was technically supposed to be Tupac's security, and they got up next to them enough to where they had a chance to actually line up the whole entire shot and take him out. This whole thing leads back to one thing, man, that they had this whole thing planned out when they had the $1 million. If they knew that they had $1 million that was going to be coming to them, then they was willing to spend their own money to be able to make sure that everything went to the plan, because they knew they was going to get the guaranteed $1 million. And so that's why they was able to actually have everything set up so well that they was following Tupac and them. They got people to come down with them. They said, look, I need you to come down with me. We're going to handle something when we get down there. They went to watch the Mike Tyson fight. They paid for the tickets of the Mike Tyson fight because they knew Pdiddy was going to reimburse them. This is what this all leads down to. This is what 50 Cent was saying. This is what Mike Tyson was saying. This is what Gene Deal was saying. He was saying that Keefy D and Pdiddy, they've been known each other for a long time, and that this isn't the first interaction that they actually had. They've been doing business together. They've been talking to each other. They know their actual names. They call each other by their first name. They're on a first name basis, and that means that they've been acquainted for a very long time. This isn't nothing new. This is actually the whole entire dagger in the situation, because at the end of the day, if they acting like they didn't know each other, then that is an advantage to them. But if the feds find out that they were talking to each other the whole time and that they're friends and that they've been planning and plotting things together, then that's going to put them both on the RICO to the whole Tupac and everything like that, because they're trying to figure out if they were planning this way before, premeditated or whatever it is. And if they find out that that's what happened, then this is where they're going to hit them with the book. And basically Keefy D is going to end up having to he's gonna have to end up taking a deal or something, because they're gonna put him up for 100 years. He might get life, because at the end of the day, everyone's waiting on the sentencing to see how many years Keefy D's gonna get. Is he gonna end up actually telling on Pdiddy and saying that Pdiddy was the one who told him to do this and that he was willing to give the $1 million? He already said it in his book. He already said it in the Vlad TV interviews. He went on Art of the Dialogue and all the other interview pages, and he said that Pdiddy was doing the $1 million hit for it, and that he even called the pager to verify that it was them, because he heard what happened to Tupac on TV that same night. And so this is what made it to where it connected both of them together to having a more relationship than what everybody seems, because if they find out that that was what happened and that they planned it, this is what's going to set off the whole entire thing to make it all come crashing down, and the karma is really catching up to them after all these years. They thought that they was going to get away with doing this to Tupac, and so they made it to where now the karma is coming back to bite them in the back, because they should have never did that. They were wrong for that. They should have left Tupac alone a long time ago, and they shouldn't have never tried to snatch that chain, because that's what made Tupac actually stomped the dude out. And this whole entire thing has a lot of right, had a lot of wrongs, but at the end of the day, you got to open your eyes and look at the facts of what's really going on and pay attention that this whole entire thing could have been a setup leading Tupac to do a downfall on his demise. And everything is leading back and pointing back to P. Diddy and Keefy D, because they're the ones in the hot seat right now, and it's got the whole entire everybody buzzing.